Valentine's Day or anniversaries, they're really good opportunities for the guys to just step up and do something like really big.
Unexpected. Hey, look, life is not easy. Anything good worth having isn't easy, but add to that the complexity of being an entrepreneur, being married, having children. We have done a lot of things right. We've made a few $1,000,000. We probably lost a few $1,000,000. We made some mistakes along the way, but one thing that we are really good at is relationships.
That's right. We have been together for almost 2 decades.
And we've been through hell and back together.
Yeah, we have. And we used to think that we were the only ones like us out there.
But, especially in our entrepreneurial ventures, we started meeting other ride or die couples that were going through the exact same things that we were going through. And they kept coming to us talking about advice and looking for solutions and really ways to help their relationship thrive. So we just knew there had to be a tribe of us out there. There's no way we could be the only ones out there.
We are getting real and raw, guys.
That's what he said.
Oh my God, babe. From dating to marriage to kids and even sex.
Even how to fight the right way.
We're gonna be committed to being open and honest with you because we believe in your relationship too. Welcome to the Ride or Die podcast. What's going on, everybody?
Hey!
Welcome. We're going to talk about dating your wife today.
Dating your wife.
Date your wife.
You still date after 18 years?
Hell yeah, we do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
We could not get away with not going out on dates. Which brings up a funny topic because over the course of the fall, with everything being so busy, like our 2, I should say even like 3 primary babysitters, one started to get really busy with school and social life, and then the other one joined a sorority, got super busy socially, and had to back down like a lot off her babysitting. And she was like our primary person. And then our third girl came back in town just to finish out her last semester of college, and then Google stole her. So proud of her.
Got a great job at Google.
She's amazing, and we love her, but Google stole her. So we are basically in a situation where, like, since around the holidays, you know, like Thanksgiving and stuff, maybe even Halloween, yeah, it's more like approaching October, mid-October, we really haven't had, like, steady, solid babysitter could rely on every week on a Friday or Saturday night.
And as you know, no family around as well to drop them off at grandma's or anything.
Right, there's no grandma, no dropping them off at grandma's house. So we really, like, have to think outside of the box and wanted to share, like, first off, you guys are fully aware, and if you haven't heard us say this, it's been a little while since we've talked about going out on dates and stuff, but date nights are, like, super important to me and Brandon. We live such a busy life between our business and our kids that it can be so easy to get busy, and then you got to start your day. And I know, like, especially for men, I know this is the same for some women that are motivated. I'm a motivated person. I get more stuff done in the morning, and then I kind of trail off right after lunch. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do anything. So, like, I have to get as much done in the morning as possible. Brandon can keep pushing and pushing and pushing, but his best, most productive time of the day is the morning. That's also the best time of the day that we could actually be giving to each other.
Right.
So
when our energy is the highest, we're the sharpest, we're the less drained.
Right. So you think, like, on a day-to-day basis, you go out, you do your day thing, you get out all your energy, you give it to everybody else, and you get home and you probably don't have much left for each other. It's not like you just, like, get the second wave of energy to, like, party, you know, like, there's some nights where we're just like, we miss each other. We just want to stay up. We'll stay up and have a couple drinks, and then before you know it, it's like 11, midnight, sometimes even 1 in the morning. We don't sleep very well because we still get up the next day, and we're like, wow, I don't regret that, but that really sucks right now that we have to be, like, up so early. So we got into this, like, situation where, like, not having that steady nighttime babysitter could lead to inconsistency, and it's just something that's super important to us. So we wanted to resurface and talk about day dates again because we haven't talked about it in a while, and that's the season we're in right now.
Before we jump into that, dating your wife, to me, always feels like, or for a long time has felt like, I've got to think of the next new thing, the next exciting thing, the next, like a date. We you know, after 18 years, you've been to the dinner and the movies like a few too many times. So can you talk about that? Like how you're not disappointed if I get a helicopter ride for us and do something cool like that, right?
Yeah.
But every week is not something that extravagant. For the most part, what's important to you for a good date night? Let's give a quick example of like maybe a good date night and a bad date night on an average week so that the guys know. Because for me, for a long time, that's what I thought. I always had to think of something that was going to be like, knock her socks off, which I do.
Oh my gosh! Well, first off, you don't plan date night normally. That's a big transition we had to make.
I do need to step up my game a little bit, though. I think I can.
You could. You don't.
It wouldn't hurt anything.
You don't need to, but you could. I mean, Valentine's Day is coming up, so you have a really good opportunity there. So this is what we ended up doing, and it is true. Like, to add that extra pressure and responsibility on Brandon's plate was just like dumb. So I started taking over a lot of the calendaring and all that stuff like years and years ago. And one of the things I started doing was just planning our date nights for us. Now, sometimes I'm too busy to do that, or I ran out of ideas, or if I run something by Brandon and he's not super excited about it, after a few times of him being like, man, I didn't really want to do that, I could just be like, well, fuck it, we'll just go to dinner then. And excuse me, I usually don't drop F-bombs, but that's what goes through my head. You're smiling like, yeah, you do. Anyway, but when we're planning those things, it's important to have a little bit of variety. I will every once in a while just tell Brandon, like, he'll have a craving to want to plan it, and he'll just say, can I plan something? Of course. You could take the responsibility. I don't care. Or like special occasions like Valentine's Day or anniversaries. They're really good opportunities for the guys to just step up and do something like really big.
Unexpected.
And extravagant. And
yeah.
We like to call them the bachelor style dates. I'm obsessed with The Bachelor after all these years still. And
which, by the way, is a good tip if you are not creative like me. I'm not a romantic person, so coming up with those types of ideas is not easy. But I can go and actually get some ideas pretty quickly, like an abundance of ideas. Like, oh, on that date, on The Bachelor or Bachelorette, they did this, this, and this. How can I, like, I'm not going to rent a helicopter for the day, but I can do, a helicopter ride or rent the yacht, or, it's not as expensive as it sounds either. Or do, cool things like that. So, little tip. Watch The Bachelor if you're struggling for ideas for ways to, like, sweep her off her feet for a special occasion.
For special occasions,
continue.
Though. So, I feel like on a normal basis, though, like, we're just living life, right? Like, we have stuff to do and we have goals that we're wanting to achieve, and we don't have like hours and hours every week to plan like these crazy dates on a weekly basis. But we still want that consistency of, when all else comes and goes and we look back at the week, I want to know that we at least had one dedicated time as a husband and a wife. Sometimes, and even with, like, I've talked to moms before, that this can even be a challenge just with leaving the kids. Like, sometimes kids get, even, our kids get it, they get like separation anxiety. They feel, or it's FOMO. I don't know what it is, but they just don't want us to leave them.
They love their mom and dad.
They love them so much. I mean, for real. It's not even an exaggeration. Like, Peyton will like hang on me while I'm trying to leave the door. She just doesn't want me to go. But they're like that a lot, stealing our attention. Let's just face it. But we still make a really good effort to put that time into each other every week, at least once, where it's just me and Brandon.
What's important for a date night for you? Because I think most guys would be fine with just, simple dinner, like, hey, we're together and we don't have distractions of work and kids, right?
It's just another routinely thing you're doing. Then it's like, oh, okay, we go to work, we go to dinner, and then we go to dinner.
Right.
So we can do that for a while, but you actually get bored with doing that over me.
Super bored.
I'm like, yeah, let's go get sushi. I'm good. And you're like, no, because it's like an easy thing to go do. So, okay, here's some things that are important to me. One, I really care about the quality of the time we're spending together, because it's only going to be like, 3 to 5 hours if we're really lucky, tops, that we're just getting. So I don't care about work for 3 to 5 hours. I don't care about the kids unless it's an emergency. Like, I don't care about that stuff. I just care about spending time with you.
So off our phones, right? Swipe down. Do not disturb on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, even like checking Facebook and stuff, like, I do that more than you do. So like, I get off social media during those times, and we're off our emails, and you do not disturb, so you don't have phone calls come in and stuff like that. Those things are really important to us.
So it's just the quality of the conversation?
The quality of the time we're spending. I want you to want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't do a date night just so we can, like, have time together and then it's shitty time together. Like, you want to be there just as much as I want to be there. And that's like that does a lot for me. It fills my bucket enough where I feel like, you know what? If you're really busy next week and I don't see you as much as I'd like to, at least I know that I can rely on you. So maybe reliability, like I can rely that you're going to be there. You're going to be in the present moment. You want to be there. We're going to have a good conversation. And then the other thing is, like, I don't like overthinking date night. So that's why I don't care that we don't do extravagant stuff all the time. And sometimes it is just dinner. Like, oh, we're so busy, but we're going out. We're just going to
lunch.
Or lunch, right. So, but lately our big thing has been day dates, right? So it is more days than dinners, and your opportunities kind of open in the daytime. I mean, there's a lot of nighttime opportunities too, but I feel like a lot of the nighttime opportunities that we would run into are more like, I don't know, maybe just because of the way we were raised and our social habits in the past, they're more like drinking opportunities or opportunities to stay out late and kind of be careless. And I don't feel good all weekend. Like, I just don't feel like I'm up to my best par when we do that. And then I feel like I'm not really there for the kids. So I love day dates. It keeps us a little healthier. I like the seasons. You know, we throw in date nights too, but I love the seasons where, like, we take a day a week where we've put in a little extra work over the weekdays so that we can afford to take the time out of our business. We don't feel like we're sacrificing time in our business because we just put it in other places. It's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. You can do that for yourself. You can say, like, Brandon worked till like 9:30 the other night, you know, like, and it wasn't a big deal. Like, it doesn't happen all the time, and he's doing it to prepare for these moments where we want to go take a day date, right? And those things mean a lot to me. Those things add up. I see him do it, and I know he works hard, and I see those things add up, and it's there. So I know he's doing those things, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice for him not being around that evening when we don't have any really, like, major energy for each other anyway. We'd just kind of we'd be sitting around. We might have some good conversation, but we're tired at the end of the day. Let's face it. We have a busy life. What else do we love about day dates? I love that we have a lot of options. Like, when the weather starts to warm up, I'll be really excited. It's still borderline chilly, but, like, there was a opening for this, like, new place in the area called Sparkman Wharf a couple months back, and, like, we went down there with the intention on just eating lunch, and I think we sat there for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just such a beautiful day outside.
Getting outside is big for us. Yeah. Even if we're just walking, no joke, just being outdoors is awesome. We have great conversations when it's sunlight, so I just love it. But yeah, like, you can just kind of be a little bit more creative and inventive, and thinking of all these things I want to do now. So it's not necessarily as much the activity for you, it's the conversation. It's being present and catching up, discussing anything, whether we're dreaming about the future, catching each other up on, like, the highlights. Hey, this happened in work this week. This was, you know, this was a challenge. This, whatever, like, just having good conversation. Oh, hey, this happened with the kids. And I'm not allergic to talking about business on our dates. And that's something that I just let go of a long time ago. I feel like we have a different type of conversation when we are in business mode. It's a weekly business meeting, and you and I are walking in like 80% partners, 20% husband and wife. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference when we're on a date night or a date day where we walk into that conversation where we're 80% husband and wife and 20% business partners. Right. So, like, I've never been allergic to talk about business at dinner since, like, I don't know, 15 years ago. I mean, I feel like that's one of Brandon's passions. He loves work, and that's, like, the majority of his day. And so when I can take an interest in something, like, he's actually more attentive on our dates when I take some interest in what's going on. And I stay caught up with what's going on. We're not together all day, every day. I'm not in the business full time anymore. And so it's nice to be able to catch up and know what's going on and stay up to date. So, like, I don't have any, like,
insecurities or unknowns of what's going on in our lives, like,
Right.
a couple weeks down the road or months down the road or whatever. So there's that. I feel like I could talk about dating for days because I like to have fun. So, like, I live for our date days and our date nights.
Escape rooms. We got a whole list of things that we, mix in there. But we talked about what's important. It's actually pretty simple, guys, mostly. Just be present, put the phone on Do Not Disturb and engage in the conversations, whether it's recap, highlights of the week. It's kind of like a business meeting too. Like, how do we enter most of our business meetings? It's like, hey, what's working? What's not working? What's the good news? What are some things that we can celebrate? And, that engages in a good conversation every time. But how we do day dates, right? And I know not everyone owns a business and has that flexibility with their schedule, but I'm going to challenge you that you can create that flexibility because everybody, I would think most people can get a day off during the week, right? Instead of taking a day off on the weekend, like some people can take that day off during the week, or have a day where you leave early or go in late. And how are we able to, because our business demands more than a 40-hour work week, right? Just flat out. We have goals, we're aggressive in getting to those goals, so we wake up early, and we don't really stay up late, but we wake up early, and that's really how we're able to, if I want to take all of Friday off, I don't have any guilt about it, any pressure about it, because while everybody else is waking up at 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock and kind of getting ready and on with the day, we're up early, got our workout in, got like a good amount of work in. If I get 2 hours of work in every morning for 4 days, that's 8 hours, right? So come Friday, I've already put in an extra 8-hour day. So if I take, and I never, work is always on. So like Friday, if I need to do a couple of things, before date day, or we need a little break, like we go out to lunch and then at like 2 o'clock, if you want to like, watch a show or run an errand, like I got an hour or two to catch up on a couple of things.
Before you get too far ahead of yourself here, I do want to throw out there that he's talking about like these extra 2 hours in the morning, like early morning when nobody else in the world is awake. But that's really not 8 hours if you think about it, because it's your most productive.
That's true.
Key time. So, I would argue to say that it actually probably is productivity-wise more than 8 hours, because that's like your best burning fuel of the day anyway. So, anyway.
Yep.
Another thing that I love about date days, which is kind of corny, but like it's super reliable. I love the fact that babysitters can come and it's like one person to two little humans. That's a very good ratio there. And at school, it's not the same ratio. There's a lot more kids to teacher, but it is a very structured environment at school, and they are there, and we're already paying for them to be there at their age because they're still in preschool. And so, like, it's a very reliable source. There's always going to be a teacher there. I don't have to worry about, like, the babysitter calling out sick or not being able to come. Like, our fallback, like, we will do date nights and even date days on the weekends. Like, when we have a consistent babysitter, sure, they usually prefer to come on weekends because they don't have to go to college on the weekends and stuff like that. And so we have the flexibility to kind of fishtail into the weekends. But the challenge that arises when we have a challenge with babysitters is that our options get more limited to leave the kids on a weekend, and we have to get a little bit more creative. Well, what better way to get creative than to think like, wow, my kids are at school. This is like a prime opportunity. I have a built-in babysitter. You can look at it that way if you want to look at it that way. And
they get extra time to play with their friends. I mean, especially after care is basically like playtime.
Yeah, and so what we do with the kids, which really works out well, is we incentivize them that, you know, we're going to leave them in aftercare that day so we can get a little bit more time with each other. And the incentive is like, if you guys behave, we're going to come and ask. And if you guys behave, then we get to go on our family date night.
If you get a good report from the teacher,
we'll go on a family date night.
This is what we have planned for the family date night. Yep. And those are usually like dinner or movie. And they love that.
They love
Meanwhile,
it.
we've spent the whole day together, or a good chunk of the day, having our date during our best time, and then we're kind of like tired, and it's almost like an extra bonus that day because it's like, all right, pick up the kids, and instead of like, oh, we got to cook dinner, and what are we going to do with them until bedtime, we're like, hey, going to, a dinner theater, right, and we're going to watch a movie, and then we get to just kind of relax, the kids get time, they're happy, and it's an awesome day.
Yeah.
I love day dates.
I love day dates. And then going into the family date night is nice.
Yep.
So anyway, it's just a quick little fun episode about the importance of dating your wife, why it's important to take her out on dates, why it's important to get out.
If you don't have young kids, this episode is not as much for you because you got way more flexibility.
Yes, but it is for them because they still need to go on dates. We're talking about date your wife. I don't care if it's the daytime, the nighttime. If you're not taking dates, then, and even people with older kids, it doesn't mean that they don't work a 9-to-5 desk job, right? Like, I can think of a couple right off the top of my head that have older children and they can go out, and I know they go out consistently, so I'm not knocking them like they don't. They do go out consistently on dates, but they are limited to the weekends because she works in a school. So she's very busy all week long. Even though as an entrepreneur, he has the flexibility to do it on the weekends. She just can't in her job position at all change that. So they have the opportunity though with their kids being older to be able to go out on the weekends, but they are very adamant about taking that time together as well. So it's really cool. Just like if you feel like you haven't been doing that enough or consistently, there's no excuse in my mind, really. You can find the time somewhere. And some people are night owls, and they're not really morning people. So you can adjust your schedule to be the same kind of feel at night than in the daytime. Like if you're awake at night and you've got super energy in the evening time, don't worry about getting up early then. Like if that's not your thing, I'm not saying, hey, you have to get up early in order for this to happen.
I am.
You are, but I know.
I think everybody should wake up earlier.
Some people are naturally just like they say they have more energy at night, and that's the lifestyle they live. And so I challenge you that if those are your prime time hours, then those are the prime hours that you could be giving to your spouse. So like maybe you guys would put the kids to bed, and then you have a romantic date out on the back patio or something like. You could have a board game that you guys can play or play Phase 10 or just something that's a little different. You might be a little more limited and have to stay home because, you have your kids. But those options are there if you choose and wish to see them.
Awesome.
So that's how we got
Thanks
today.
for sharing, Sam.
Oh, my gosh. Whatever. I can't wait for our date day. I know what I want to do this week.
All right. You got anything for them to wrap up? Any reminders?
Yeah, keep on coming in, giving us your comments, liking our pages, and sharing our podcast, and helping us spread the word because we want to do big things this year, and we got some really cool things cooking up that I've been working hard to get the details squared away, so we can stop saying that we're working on these things and say that they're actually here. So
we're done.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'll stop procrastinating. Well, I already have stopped procrastinating on it, and now I'm the ball's in other people's courts right now. So.
Awesome.
That's where we're at.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Ride or Die Podcast.
Bye.